beginning of the video, I'll put in the finished fly. Then we'll talk about the materials.
I'm going to have to try to get out there.
I don't know how long that lasts, but yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Okay, first fly we're going to do is called the Holy Grail Caddis, or sometimes referred to as the Holy Grail Emerger. It depends upon who. I picked this up off of the Riffle Fly Shop YouTube page because I thought it was interesting. What's interesting is the way the bead, as you can see the bead here at the front, as part of the thorax. The bead is half of the, or pretty much the thorax. Just the way that whole thing is produced, I thought was interesting. The hook is, I'm using a TMC 2457, or you can use the 67, but one's extra, one's 87 is the light wire, and the 57 is the heavy wire. Take your poison. The body is hare's ear. The body is hare's ear or hare's mask. Okay. The ribbing is flashaboo, thin flashaboo. The bead we're using is either a 3/32 gold bead, or what am I? Actually, I got the 1/8 inch one because I got a size 10, so I'm an 1/8 inch bead. And then.
So is that a misprint on here? 5/32?
5/32? No, there's
That's
a
for
five.
it to be either 10, right?
Yeah, it depends upon what size. 5/32 or 8 depends upon what size you use. Yeah. And then the hackle is partridge, and for the wing case, we're just using pheasant tail. So there's not a lot of components, but the part I liked the most about this fly, when I saw this, was the way they treat the bead process. Because if you pay attention, let me hold this back up here again. As you can see, in front of the bead, I have to tie off my wing case. In front of the bead, I have to also tie in my partridge, and I have to have my head. This is one of the flies where the bead is not held tight against the eye, which is different. That was the part that caught my attention. And on the website, he liked to use red. And this is a really interesting way in which they get their proportions. And I thought this was the part I thought was slick. Bring the bead back. Oh. Okay, bring the bead back to leave your head room, right? See that spacing? And now I know right here, let me bring it back right to there. There's my head space, and there's where the body ends. So now I can move this up. Nothing's going to go further than the edge of that, where I started my thread on the hook. So that was really the part that really caught my attention, was the way I was kind of wondering when I first looked at it, well, how are they keeping the bead back? How are they handling it? So it was the handling of the bead that was really interesting. So actually, I got to raise this up a little bit. I'm a little too low. There we go. Bring your thread back down the bend. I like to look for about a 45. That's just a personal. Some people like it more or less as an angle. The next item we're going to tie in is flashaboo, some very fine flashaboo, just a single strand.
So Gene, you stop when you get to a 45 to the hook point?
Right.
Oh,
see that?
Interesting way to do it, yeah.
That tells me where I need to stop. So I'm looking, see that angle? It's a 45. To me, that's where I stop. Because the question is, how far around the bend do you go, right?
Judge how far.
There's a lot of those, and I have settled on.
It's consistent.
Yeah.
So I'm consistent, right? So now I'm just going to tie in the flashaboo. Just tie it down, because from here on in, all I'm going to do is dub my rabbit. So we'll take this section and just kind of mat it up, just finger work it.
Yeah, I don't know if you use this trick. I forget where I got it, but to take something like that and cut a whole bunch off, put it in a plastic bag with some holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically bring.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on one of the.
You use you blow your computer off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really
So-
ends up in a nice mixture.
What are the holes for?
Well, so that you don't bust the bag.
Yeah, so the air has to come, you take a
Oh, you
plastic
fill it
bag.
with air?
Yeah,
You put, you know, the
So
thing
you
like,
can shake it, close it,
yeah,
and
you know,
shake
that's
it?
how you blow your computer off with a compressed air. ball.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you put your dummy in the Ziploc, you put some holes in, it, then you stick the tube in there and shoot it, and what it does, it just
Tumbles
stirs it all.
off.
Yeah.
It's
So-
a washing machine kind of
Yeah,
effect.
okay.
And it
what
really
we're gonna
mixes it
what
up
we're
nice.
gonna do here is we're gonna
Using
create
coffee grinders.
a body
Yeah.
that's gonna be tapered, and it's actually tapered rather thickly. This is not a minimally tapered body; it's pretty heavily tapered. And as I get to the end of where I started my thread, it's going to be a distinct, sharp cutoff. Going to be a distinct, sharp cutoff right. And I'm going to take my thread up there and I'm going to build
And
back.
then you just jam the bead up against it.
Yep, that's what the bead is going to do, is keeps the bead from coming back. And the way I do that is with the dubbing. Okay, you want this part right here at the end of the thread. Don't go any further. You want that segment to be actually slightly larger in diameter than the bead. So that'll keep the bead from going back, and then when we go pull the wing case and everything else, we end up with a nicely tapered body. So I want the taper, and I want this still a little bigger. This does take up a lot more hairs there than you would think. There we go. Okay. Okay. So now that I have some space, I actually slid forward a little bit. Now I'm going to use my fingernails to move it back. There we go. And here I tie in my pheasant tail
into your rib.
at the wing case. Oh, thank you. I do my rib. Counter wrap the rib. Never like to run my ribs the same direction as my body. They seem to stand up better. Thank you, George. I missed the rib. And then the wing case. The wing case doesn't have any legs on it, so you're only worried about the thickness of the bead. You're going to be clipping off most of the tips and tie that in. Same problem I had down in Bishop.
Static electricity.
Little stat, boy, it was static down in Bishop. Man, oh man, I want to tell you,
Dry.
it was dry and
It's
horrible.
dry, yeah.
Okay. Then we come back and add some more dubbing. To help create the thorax. Okay. And then here was the other part I thought was real interesting. I need my thread in the front, right? So you take it right over the top. Take a couple of turns and jam the thread back up against the bead, which creates the space, right? Now you've got your wing case.
I wonder if you should half hitch or something before you do that in case, I mean, because if you break the thread over the bead, the whole thing's going to unravel, right?
Good.
You could do that if you were nervous.
Or you can tie
Absolutely.
it off and start it again in front too.
Yeah.
And then-
Right, dude.
And then nothing more than partridge, I like to take the partridge, grab it by the tip with my hackle pliers, bring it back, because I'm going to tie it in by the tip. Okay, now a lot of folks like to, well on this one because I've got such a short one, I'm going to tie this in and do a fold. I'm going to do a fold just to make sure I've got a good tie in. Okay. Hackle pliers and just do a folded hackle. Clip the stem. And do a whip finish. You can build a bigger head if you'd like, or just use the whip finish to help build the head.
How many turns did you do with partridge?
2 to 3.
2 to 3?
Yeah. You're not looking at minimal turns, you're just trying to create a bunch of legs, which you can see there, right? Clip the thread, it's done. The two interesting pieces that I liked so much about this was how do I keep my location for my bead and everything else in front of it, and how he started it by using the bead, moving it back and starting this thread right behind where he intended it to stay. Then he lets it get out of the way, builds up everything behind the bead right to where he started his thread, ties in and then does your rib, then tie in your wing case, then build a thorax on top of the wing case, which increases the diameter right up against the bead, then pull it all over, and you end up with this. If you want, you can get a fuzzy, wouldn't hurt a thing, because this whole thing is just kind of an emerger type pattern, so roughing it up works out really, really nice. And the whole point of the Flashaboo is to give it a little bit of a glint as opposed to no glint, so you get a little flash in there, but it's not a lot.